Hi, so topic for today, computers. I upgraded my Mac Pro that I had, like the Tower, the old 2010 Mac Pro. I upgraded that in 2018 to a MacBook Pro with an i9 Intel CPU. And I've been using that for, 3.5 years now. And I'm just in the process of updating or upgrading that to the new M1 Pro, MacBook Pro. So I wanted to talk about this because I got a question from somebody who was asking if they should update. I think he was asking if he should update his iMac with a 4 gigahertz CPU, the i7, to a MacBook Pro like the one I have now with the i9 with a 2.4 I think gigahertz CPU. And I would say no. Because and I just wanna I'm not really a computer expert. I just know what I've used in the past and what has worked for me and what hasn't worked for me. And I just know that upgrading from my old Mac Pro, the 2010 one, to the MacBook Pro, the 2018 one with the i9, for recording and mixing purposes, it worked and it was an upgrade in my case, and it enabled me to work mobile, which was the most important thing to me. Um, so it made sense and it worked, and it's a monster of a laptop for sure. But that model with the i9, the 2018 and even the 2019, that's slightly better. Those, in my opinion, are these computers are not really like the design is like a little weird to me. Let's say it like that. Let's put it like that because there is a monster of a processor, a monster of a CPU inside of that computer, but the computer itself is very thin and it gets super super hot. The fans are on all the time, so you can't record with that thing in the room. Even if you're mixing, it can be slightly annoying depending on where you put it in the room. So there's almost no way of working with that thing without the fans being on all the time, and they are really loud. So even like a basic thing you do in Chrome can sometimes make the fans turn on. It's hot all the time. My battery died after like 3 years of use, and like I was very careful with the power cycles and all of that, and like still, um, my battery died. I think it's because of the heat, maybe, I don't know, or because of the fact that it's on the dock a lot and connected to the power a lot. So as I said, I'm not a total expert on this, but I'm just sharing because I got asked, and I think it's an interesting conversation to have. So everything Apple for me was super smooth so far, and I don't want to get into the debate Mac versus PC, so don't even start that. I don't care; both are fine. Um, just my Mac Pro, my old one was very super solid for 8 years, not a single problem with that. My iMac that I had before, shortly, even that was good. Then the MacBook Pro served me well, and it was a great studio computer, and I use it to this day. But it's like, yeah, as I said, noisy and hot, and it's not. It has flaws, so I wouldn't buy that instead of the iMac. And then the final thought is, if you have a 4 gigahertz i7 iMac, I doubt that updating or upgrading to an i9 with like 2.4 gigahertz is really going to do a lot for you because most DAWs are really inefficient when it comes to multi-core use. At least like Cubase on a Mac is like that. So I know the person asking uses Cubase and Mac, and like I can only say that when my overall system usage is still like okay, if I'm using like 50-60% of the overall system on my Mac, then my CPU usage in Cubase can still be maxed out. Like it's not really depending on how you put. That's a whole different topic. Depending on how you set up your sessions and the routing and everything, and this all plays a role here. You can optimize things, but still, I don't think that a smaller. I think less cores, but with a faster CPU with less cores is actually better than a lot of like more cores with a slower sort of CPU. So if that makes sense, that's the way I think about it. I don't know about the exact iMac model, of course, and the exact processor. So the MacBook's cool. I would not really recommend it. I have gotten the new M1 though, and I'm in the like next week. I'm gonna start moving everything to that computer, and it's kind of scary. So I had it here for a couple of weeks now, but I haven't even started just because I'm afraid. I've installed some things, and everything seems to work really well. So Cubase runs, Wavelab runs. Most of my other things that I use for business stuff and like Zoom calls and stuff like that, all that runs. I haven't tried all the plugins yet, and so I'm gonna do that in the next 1 or 2 weeks. And I'm going to let you know how that goes because I'm pretty afraid. But the only thing I can already say is that this upgrade is something I feel like one could recommend. I haven't used it enough to really be able to do that, but the fans don't turn on. It's super quiet all the time. It's very, very fast. It's definitely an upgrade compared to my 3-year-old maxed out MacBook that I had. It was the best one available 3 years ago, and now that one is really, really a step up from that. So yeah, I hope that helps. And these were my thoughts. Like, if you're a computer person and you know more about these things than I do, then please let me know or correct me if I was wrong here. I just care about that the things that I'm using every day, that they work and that they enable me to be creative and to make art. I don't really care about the details as much. So I just wanted to share my personal experience and not like give advice on like computers in general. So yeah, long story short, I would probably keep the iMac depending on what model it is. I wouldn't expect a big jump in performance, but I would consider upgrading to the newer generations of MacBooks if your software is compatible. So yeah, there's that. All right. Take care. Talk to you tomorrow.